you for sitting down to talk with us, Native Voices for Energy. I'm Jill. I'm residing nationally in Bad River tribal member, and you are.
Jason Weaver. I'm with Courte, near Hayward, Wisconsin.
Yeah, and you had the time and availability to talk with us because we're interested in learning about the water treatment facility and the water treatment program.
Certainly. In 2012, I moved back to the reservation. Uh, they were looking for a public works directors, water, wastewater, and I was working for the city of Milwaukee as a senior plant operator at the time. Uh, so I moved my family back up to the reservation. Um, and at that time, the wastewater facility that we had was barely barely operational. It was failing in many aspects and not followed with proper treatment. And we were at a max limit. We were over capacity actually, because originally that was built for the casino and a few of our businesses in this area. Um, but what had happened is they expanded it to collect a lot of the community, and that kind of put it at capacity. Having it at capacity limited the tribe's growth ability. Um, we where we had the wastewater treatment connections and the water treatment connections, there was no room for growth at all. And so what I did originally was started looking at what we could do for options to build a new wastewater facility. What we had originally was a recirculating filter, and it was at capacity and not needing treatment quality the way we would expect. So what we found was a lot of different options when we put the project out for qualifications or bids. And we decided to go with another lagoon system. And in one of our other communities, we have a lagoon system. It works great. And so it's a lot more land, but a lot less mechanical. Treatment takes a little longer, but it works very well for us. And the maintenance and operation is a lot easier for our employees. Uh, Once we selected the design, I had got the estimates. The tribe found that we were way underfunded. We did not have the funding to build the facility. Uh, we were lucky enough to get some funding from the Indian Health Service. We received a grant from the Shakopee tribe, Middle Octon. I'm very grateful for them. And U.S. EPA grant. And then we were able to acquire funding and project management help through Enbridge Energy Company.
Nice.
Yes, and we were able to build the facility.
So you mentioned the timeline of 2012, was it?
2012.
Okay, and on that system had a little bit of enterprise and some community service. What was happening with like the unserviced residential community to take, like you said, a second lagoon system?
We had a lot of homes that were on septic systems.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And they were failing because they had reached that 25-year mark, 25-year mark. And so they were having to replace a lot of sewer systems at about, $8 to $12,000, depending on the size of the home. And that was getting very expensive for our housing association or our housing authority and our private homeowners as well. And we couldn't really build on that at that time. The other lagoon system is on the far south end of the reservation, so that really wasn't something that we could connect to, and it was more for just that small community of reserve. and it's still in operation today. It was built in the 70s, and it's great. Yeah. Some modifications, but you'd expect that, some upgrades. Uh, but yeah, so the timeline, I came in about the fall of 2012, and I think through all the processes and SDS with Indian Health Service, there was a sanitation deficiency survey. We were able to get it as our top priority, and the engineering was done by reviewed by Indian Health Service, and we brought in the contractors, and we were able to get everything done, including a new facility that we're in right now, which is our office, our laboratory, and our maintenance bays for the Public Works Department here for Courte, and we've been able to create capacity, which has led to just amazing growth for the reservation in the past 4 or 5 years. So
Yeah, it's exciting and fascinating, and I really appreciate how your past led you back home to improve a certain part of the community that's extremely important. Is clean water, and that's amazing. And also sharing with us, how it all came together. The tribe of LCO is, and in my mind and heart, I consider a sister tribe. Being from Bad River, your school systems in the EC, they're accredited K through 12, which I sent my kids over here to come to school here, get the culture and the regular academics, and I always think that's amazing. Plus the college, so it's really nice to see the things that happen here, both the ongoing culturally, spiritually, and then the improvement
for the the economic growth as contemporary natives, I guess we would say. I actually went to Le Coudray School, graduated from there in Magichu, painting myself, but it's an amazing facility. With the new wastewater facility, we were able to build out on that school to provide more capacity. The school's up over 400 now in enrollment. We're actually a part of a conference now, which is just amazing to me. So, for sports, we are in, I forget what the conference name is, but it's that kind of growth that really restores pride in the community. Our kids, we had our first student make sectionals in track last year, and we've been a member of the conference for 2 years. Yeah. We have some great cross country runners. We have great basketball and volleyball teams.
Are they picking up the lacrosse?
I don't know if they have yet.
Okay.
But we have but our athletic director has been amazing, Dion Doyle, and any way that we can help, alumni, community members. I think that they're getting a lot of support that way.
That's awesome. It's such a beautiful facility. The faculty's always been amazing. When my kids did come here, they were accepted as community, and they didn't get treated as outsiders coming in. And there's a lot of support. A lot of support for them to come in and have their academics here.
I believe our first principal was from Bad River, Mr. Bitbull.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's always been that connection. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so then after the new facility went up, like I said, the school was able to expand. It was LCO College, it's LCO University. They went to 4-year program and master's degrees now. So they're able to expand, but they also built dormitories. So now we have dormitories that are on our system. Since then, the tribe was able to build an apartment building. I believe it's a 40-unit apartment building. And then we started the creation of a new community, Endowment, and it's named Endowment because the property that it's be built on, the original allotment was for a chief Endowment, little chief in the reservation. So Ogimaz Road and Endowment Road.
Okay. And it's the language, is that Courte?
Courte, yeah, okay. He Moss, chief.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I love it.
yeah. So
Yeah, this community has always embraced the language and making sure that it's, the needs of your buildings and your roads, and I
yeah,
really appreciate that as well. So just it just comes to show how, there's that relation to everything. You got your water treatment facility program, and then going expanding into the academics and the school system. Your enterprise being the lodge and the casino and that kind of thing. The other thing that I really wanted to learn about is because with water, you have a safety kind of program in case with you mentioned the company at Enbridge being a little bit of a partnership or an investment, and they have always improved on their safety in case of spills and that kind of thing. And so you have response teams and disaster response kind of
yeah.
thing.
So we have emergency management.
Yep.
And with that, we work with the county emergency management. We have tribal emergency management, and we have our own tribal fire department, along with other community fire departments. And on the south end of the reservation, our south border, we do have pipelines that go through. We also have train line that runs through the southern end of that same corridor, and some big power lines. So it's kind of an industrial area down there, um, and it's also very wooded, wetland. So any kind of concerns that we have, we want to make sure that there's uh, adequate response. And with our work with Enbridge and the railroads, we have connections to their training as well as access to their staff. So if we have concerns or issues, we can uh, reach out to them, even if it's not something that they are involved with. So an example was that last year we had a car hit a bridge and go into a creek, a river off the Chippewa Flowage, and it ruptured the fuel tank and some oil was getting into the river. We were out of uh, the the oil containment buoys, and the Wisconsin DNR response team was an hour out. I was able to get those buoys from the Enbridge crew that works in the Stone Lake area and on the south end of the reservation, and I was able to deploy those on site, um, within a half hour and contain that spill until the DNR got there and they brought in back trucks and they cleaned everything up, and it was one of those partnerships that we weren't aware of that we would need on such a small. I say a small spill. Any spill is horrible,
Right.
but from a vehicle. And so what that taught us, lesson learned, is had those things available. So we have them stored in various locations throughout the reservation now, with our fire department, with our emergency response, and our roads crew, so that we are able to uh, better protect our water.
Yeah.
And that was as a result of Enbridge having those tools available and freely given them when we called.
I really appreciate the fact uh, you already had a relationship as a tribe and as government with them, but just being able to think like, hey, I want, are they, do they have the resources to kind of come help us? And
Yeah.
they did. And how,
I reached out to the county, to the power company. I was like, who would have these? The local fire departments. None of us had that stock. Uh, and so it was like, oh, great.
yeah,
So um, it helped with the response, a faster response. Um, the petroleum obviously is lighter than the water, so it was floating, but we were able to contain it and block it in. And the DNR response team, I think they were out of Rhinelander, were able to get here out in 2 hours.
Yeah, that's
And it was an hour to 2 hours after I got there. So
right. When you're rural, that could be kind of close.
Yeah,
Seeing you
yeah.
think about it, but that's your housing, and like you said, you have a learning curve from it now because you think of response and those larger scale issues, and but to have, uh, I mean, yes, the person driving and the environment has it effects, but there's it's my understanding they're really good and have a good practice of what that larger scale issue could be a release and
certainly. And their emergency response team is out of their superior offices. Um, are not only the tribes, but the counties, also our emergency management. We all work together, obviously, but we hold tabletops together wherever the pipelines are. And so a tabletop exercise, they say, okay, here's a location, here's a spill, here is here is what happened, and here's what the weather is and where it's going, and how do you respond to this? Who's in charge? How do you? And so we developed these plans, and what the last tabletop that I participated in, they talked about it, uh, and we were like, well, Sawyer County would do this, Sawyer County would do that, and they're like, well, that's actually Washburn County. But Sawyer County would be closer to the response, so we were like, I guess we need to, you know, have that mutual aid agreement prior to anything happening. So the tabletop exercises work great as well. Like, how are we going to respond as everybody's going to pitch in and help? But
yeah,
I want to make sure that
kind of get a little muscle memory in case something does
Yeah.
happen. Yeah, that
and phone memory. You got to
Yeah.
have the numbers. You got to have those contacts, and that's great too because even just a question like being able to reach out to people with more experience and more knowledge on subjects, and saying, "Hey, what should I do here?" And that really does help us because, as with many tribes, we wear many hats.
right. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting and it's great. But having those resources there. And I mentioned that when we were building the wastewater facility, one of the things we were really, I, I'll just say bad at, was project management. And we know Enbridge is great at project management. So one of the things we asked of them was if they could teach a project management class at our college. And so we were given a project manager, and he also helped us with the project of the wastewater facility building right here in the plant. So, but we had weekly classes. We had people from our housing authority, our conservation department, our construction, tribal development company, public works, and we would meet once a week and go through the process of project management from planning to closeout and what to do in different situations, how to keep things on task, and so with the wastewater facility here and the building, we finished ahead of schedule and under budget, and that was about one of the first times that we've had that happen on the reservation, and so we were very grateful for that and being able to uh, train other people in the community that skill set. And, some have gone on to learn more about project management
Okay.
and utilize that.
So that was a result of the class.
Yes, yep. As a result of the class and part of that partnership with a community where they operate, and we think that was great, girls.
Yeah. There's so many components to the company. There, feel
Yeah.
like, I mean, at one point in time, I thought they were an oil company, but Murray, they're a transfer company, and just get energy and how they're looking and going forward into all different kinds of environmentally and safety minded things. I mean, it's amazing, and I really thank you for having a conversation with me because like there's probably 4 or 5 takeaways that I've gotten that didn't really know or realize about both the company and what a wastewater facility, both improvement, the new standards, and so it's a lot to learn, and I just value all of that information you have and the position you hold in your community.
Thank you. Good. And one of the things that we are working with them on right now is that our tribe was looking at uh, a utility feasibility study so we could create our own tribal electric utility. Right now, we have 3 different electric utilities that operate on the reservation in different territoria. And what we are looking at is creating one on the reservation. And in that feasibility study, we've identified we could create about 60 to 70% of our power from our hydroelectric dam. Currently, we sell that power on the MISO market on the grid, but we could direct that power back to us. So what we need to make up is about 30% or more. And with Enbridge being an energy company and having, now I believe they're the third largest alternative energy company in North America. Mm-hmm. They have those kind of resources. So they've introduced us to like the Wells Industries, and they have solar arrays that follow the sun and get better production out of their solar.
I was fortunate to take a tour of Joe West in an academy,
and he's a Red Lip tribal member, so that keeps that close to home, and we know that he's concerned about the most that he can get out of his equipment and provide energy, and so we're looking at doing some solar in the future, battery backup. We're members of the MTERRA, which is a Midwest Tribal Energy Alliance. They're great, and they help us with Department of Energy things, the feasibility study, getting Department of Energy grants to work through that study, and finding a contractor that can come up here. We did an energy audit. You plan for growth, things like that. But obviously, we wouldn't have the capacity to just open the doors and have an electric utility. So we have a local co-op that would mentor us up to the point of us taking over our own, from linemen to billing to, just the emergency response when there's a storm, a tree hit it. So there's a lot of growth opportunity, a lot of great jobs that we could develop in our own community. And the fact that we would be looking to be 100% alternative energy, hydro, solar, battery, we feel that it would lower the bills of the tribal members in the community, but also another sense of pride. I mean, hey, we're off grid, or not off grid, but we get tied in, but we pretty net zero.
Exactly.
So
pretty independent.
It's hopeful.
And would you tie that back into the project management?
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And not only that, but then the Enbridge's connections in the alternative energy arena. So we've been able to go down to some of their solar facilities and see how they're tied into industry, how they're backed up, how they maintain, how much acreage we'd actually need for different capacities and megawatts and things like that. So it's nice to have a partner like that that's willing to share that what others might consider information they might want to protect.
Yeah.
No.
I agree. They just seem to I got to be in a presentation where they talked about, they're not the only energy company in the, like you said, North America. And they do their projections and their studies of what's profitable, what's for the best interests of the company. And they did find that it was not, as far as the dollar amount, the best interest to go into that alternative energy, but they do, like they're investing more than what the payoff would be, which I feel is amazing as far as, the environmental impact, global warming things. They really pay attention, and I feel like they're safety minded in a lot of that stuff.
I believe that as well, but I also think everyone and all industries can see the writing on the wall that we need to utilize alternative energy. Uh, Sadly, our administration right now doesn't know that, but they're kind of backtracking some of the DOE grants and things like that for studies on alternative energy. But we'll get back on track, and we'll. I think everybody's still just plugging along and going forward with their studies and their plans. And
Yeah.
when the opportunity is ready to go, we we'll have our business plans ready, our applications ready to go, and it just gives us more time to kind of flesh them out and actually get people trained in lineman school and things like that.
One thing I thought maybe you could speak to as far as being in a relationship and seeing the community investment that Enbridge as a company done with your community and your tribe. Um, how would you say the company responds to as far as the cultural values of our community?
That was one of the first things that when Enbridge originally approached the tribe about renewing their leases, uh, there was a lot of people that had previous experience with Enbridge prior to 2010.
Right.
And everyone that I talked to had a bad experience. So we weren't expecting the best experience, but when they came in, I remember it was Trent, April, I believe Gail, and they came in and they very pleasant, very proper, very thankful for the tribal government's time, and just wanted to introduce themselves. Nothing to ask at that point in time, nothing but, hey, this leaks is coming up. We want to put it on your radar. We'd like to have discussions before things pop up. If there's a way that we could come to an agreement, that'd be great. If there's not a way for an agreement, we kind of want to know so that we can plan alternative routes. And that was pleasant. With corporations and power companies and things like that, like, well, we're going through, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, or we won't. We're going to exclude you from it. And we've had that with some natural gas lines now. Natural gas is so much cheaper right now, but we're still on propane because of some of the easement issues that have to try to deal with for corporations. But yeah, so it was great. But as that relationship has grown and grown, it's been amazing because not only are they respectful, but then they ask the questions so they don't make like a mistake or say something wrong or do something wrong. They're learning our local community culture and that's different between each reservation. We all know that you go to a naming ceremony over at that reservation, it's different than over at this one. You just expect that. So they didn't assume that we were the same as other First Nations that they had dealt with in Canada or anywhere else. And so that was very helpful, very respectful. And I think that helped as far as our tribe listening to the options and proposals, that we weren't so quick to shut them down right away because we did feel that like, well, they're coming here respectful, not like back in 2000 whatever when they came in and told us they were going to do this or not. Right. So then they mentioned the meaningful partnership, the community partnership, how they could develop that, and well, let's talk about that, see where that came. And so it really turned out for the benefit of our reservation, and it's still an ongoing partnership, which is really amazing. The tribe did renew their lease through the reservation, and with that comes opportunity as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they do some maintenance down on their facilities, and they hire our tribal companies and tribal members. So if there's a right-of-way clearing, our tribal development corporation has heavy equipment operators and laborers that go out there, and they do that, which give them an experience working under a subcontractor that now they're approaching power companies, and so they're expanding their role into, well, let's do right-of-way maintenance and management, and that creates more quality jobs for tribal.
Right. And when there's call for like the historical preservation office or monitors looking into those kind of things that feel like they're really open minded. This like we need the tribe, their voice, their people, their eyes to be in that conversation in that part of the project. So
Yes, and our tribal tippos have been on a few of their projects, and they were requested and hired because it's in the ceded territory. It wasn't even on the reservation, but there were in the ceded territory, and they said we would like to have a monitor there, a tippo there. Do you have one available for this week or that week? And we're able to send our tippo when he's available, or one of them up to those sites, and that's great because there's not many. Wisconsin DOT doesn't even do that. Right, only when they're on the reservation. Yeah, and when it's off the reservation, they don't contact us. So it's like, well, at least they're a little more respectful and they're setting the standard as well. Yeah. When we did, one of the other things that we do is we tax their property that's within the reservation borders. Okay. That was a sticky agreement, but what that does is set precedent for our tribe, because it shows that we have the territorial order that our legal codes and policies cover, including taxation on non-tribal property. So that is part of the negotiation that's been ongoing. So the tribe collects tax revenue, not just from our tribal businesses, but also from Enbridge, and so that's a precedent that they're looking to expand at some point.
Yep.
But there's a lot of non-tribal owned land within the boundaries, like White Kedra Reservation. And it's still within our boundaries and our jurisdiction, so we should have that right to, they benefit from the services we provide, both fire, the roads, the with beauty, so it's right that everybody helps out.
Yeah, I have a little knowledge just being around and having different conversations with you, that you have a history of being on the tribal council, but I'm not sure, were you on council during some of this decision making negotiation?
I was a board member when Enbridge approached originally, and then I was secretary treasurer when the projects actually broke ground, and so I was in the room as a tribal governing board member as we had those discussions. So knowing that that some of my board members were quicker to say no, I was a little more interested and open-minded. And so one of the things I did right away was looked at the hydrology of the area that they were in. Okay. And the hydrology, the wetlands and things like that flowed to the reservation. If we were not going to renew their leases, they were going to move about a mile over, just outside the border on non-tribal land, and just kind of circumnavigate the borders of the reservation. That was their plan. And I said, well, that does not take us out of harm's way. It takes us out of the conversation, out of the inspection process. notification process. And not that Enbridge would just, ignore the tribe, but we had more in the agreement with them, um, knowing that. And so, what were our concerns? Obviously, oil release, and we wanted to know how they would prevent that, how they would, if God forbid something happened, how would they respond, and would they clean it up, and how would that affect our natural resources, our aquifers, things like that. So there was a lot of education that I had to to gain myself. And that process was long as we were working out, different negotiations. And when I talked with my the rest of the council, I explained uh, how I saw that, and I thought it was best that we renew a lease, that we have stipulations involved, and some of those stipulations are third party inspection um, at the tribe's request. So someone that Enbridge didn't hire, someone we hire, and we bring them in and they do the inspection and give us a third party review of that. And so that's still in place. The taxation, like I mentioned, and of course, there's lease agreement that the tribe benefits from. But after that, it's been a business partnership, like they've said. I should say a community partnership.
Right.
As a business in our community, they uh, they have a grant process. So, like our fire department has written a grant to them and received a fire truck, which is amazing.
Yeah.
For a rural, small town fire department.
Yeah. I saw the article where you guys received it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The line.
Yeah. And
Rescue.
usually we get, leftover VIA stuff,
Right.
or whatever else we can buy. But yeah, that was great. Um, our neighboring community, the town of Hayward, receives some help with the storm sirens, and then some of the local townships as well applied for these grants, and they are either within the boundaries or next to the boundaries. And so any kind of storms warning systems, things like that, that benefits our membership and our community, our customers, because we are a tourist industry. So that investment in the community is really great. Yeah. So it's been, in my eyes, it's been very beneficial. Um, and then we'll see where that goes. Great.
At the end, I appreciate the conversation because they did have a kind of a black mark and a reputation due to the spill in Marshall, and I think some of them get exaggerated. And one of the things I learned and appreciate about them as a company is the acknowledgement of Marshall. The release that they had in 2010. So there was, so many reasons and factors of how it might happen, but for the restoration and restitution, not only of the environment, but to the local surrounding community, I thought was different. A lot of industries just kind of try to hide or cover it up or not even acknowledge. So that was a big eye opener for me, as, like you said, an industry company taking the acknowledgments, and it took a while, but there, and again, I feel like that's where they did start learning. We need to have more open and honest communications with the tribes and the areas, if they're not on the tribal lands, that you talk about doing that community engagement with the surrounding, like you said, the surrounding areas.
Yeah, when we were considering the lease, people were aware of the Kalamazoo and Marshall still there, and so that was brought up by a lot of community members and ourselves on the governing board, and we again had to educate ourselves as to what had happened, uh, what the responses were, and things like that. But we held community meetings open to tribal members and tribal community members, and we explained where the pipe works were, how long they'd been there, what size it, what was hauled through there or passed us through there, and what the alternatives were to move it out, you know, things like that. And obviously, uh, the major concern is release, oil release, a spill or something like that. Uh, and that's kind of where our education, our research showed us that, you know, over $2 billion that the Kalamazoo North cleanup has cost that company. Not to mention the lost profit of while they were down and things like that, and the black eye they got. Uh, there's no business out there that wants to lose that kind of money, and I think that's where they changed. Their board members, their stockholders, demanded better of themselves. Yeah. And I think that's where that change really came from. So when they approached us, and I think it was 2016, um, they had grown from that. Right. The employees that showed up were still with the company from that time period, and they expressed their appreciation for the change of culture in the company, and and they were sincere. I mean, you could tell when somebody's you came full of it, and they were sincere enough that I took their word and continued to learn. We went over and did a tour of the spill site, the cleanup, and we brought tribal elders. We brought our tribal attorney, some of our environmental staff, and one of the things that people said in the community is like, "Oh yeah, we heard you could just put your hand in the sand and there's oil underneath there." We're like, "Really?" So we did everything that we could possibly think of, and then we saw the the, the work, the pictures, the the amount of work that they had done to clean that environment up, and the locals there that said, after everybody else left, after the Enbridge was still here working and cleaning it, and they're still there to this day, a $2 billion later cleanup, and to me that would be any company um, that would clean that up. It's amazing. You see so many places, even our military, with Superfund sites because they are not going to pay to clean it up. Right. Penta wood products and things like that. They just pollute and then they just go bankrupt and wait. Yeah. And or for a company to persevere to do that and follow through and still be in ovulation that's pretty impressive.
I feel like it's on a personal one-on-one level or a big powerful company. Accountability goes a long way, and they take that and say, yeah, it was at our hands. And again, I was able to take the tour too, so you learn about all of the natural things that were going on, and some of the our mistakes that happen, human mistakes. So it's and for them as a company to say, if you're willing and you want to come see in person with your own eyeballs, they don't have to lead on these rumors about the oil in the sand. You can take the tour on that river and see clear water and have the
restored habitat. And that's exactly what EPA does with Superfund sites. They invest a lot of money to clean those sites up, and they had the federal government to foot the bill, where this was a $2 billion project that an energy company took responsibility and paid for. That says a lot for the company in my eyes.
Yeah.
And the fact that they don't ever want to have to do that again. I mean, you can honestly believe when they say that, we can't take another $2 billion hit. Mm-hmm. So we put all these precautions in case, the automatic closing of valves, just stopping the line to inspect it, things like that. Right. Just and having staff along the pipelines that are able to investigate, and the constant monitoring. They do helicopter flyovers and drones, and um, they when they do flyovers, they always let our tribal government know, and they invite them to come along and say, "Hey, would you like to fly over with us?" And some of them taken that and flown the lines from Sawyer County, just to see what's out there and see how
Yeah, not all companies have those kind of empty.
so it was very interesting. And then community outreach too. Providing like a quarterly or biannual like update to the tribe, saying here's what we've been doing in northern Wisconsin in the ceded territory, and I think that a lot more of our government and people appreciate that because it's not just within our borders; it's the ceded territory that we all hunt, fish, gather, and it's important to all of us, and so when they approach us that way, I think that's very respectful. So.
I agree. Well, again, your knowledge, I mean, we could talk for a long time, and again, I just learned a lot, and I appreciate you being able to sit down.
Yeah, you are welcome.